Survive in advance on the Gruely Truth Sports Network. As always, the Gruely Truth is powered by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Check them out at betting.net. And today, make sure you check out Caesars Sportsbook for all your betting needs. You can find them in the description of the video below in YouTube. I am your co-host for Survive in Advance, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, as always, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Doing good this Monday morning. How are you doing? Got a great NASCAR race in yesterday. Austin Cindric, rookie from the Xfinity Tour, came in and stole the show from all the veterans.
Well, that's
rookie,
something
his
to
first
bring
win
up.
in NASCAR, and it's the biggest win you can ever have.
That's something to bring up on our NASCAR weekly show with you and Joe Spillman.
We're in negotiations with that right now.
Yeah, you'll do it. He's the first guy we found that wasn't a moron to do a NASCAR show with you. All right. So,
I've never been one to call a police officer a moron.
I would. They usually are. But not Joe. Because Joe was around me long enough that it got the moronic out of him. All right. Today, we're going to discuss Juwan Howard, who decided it was a good idea to throw a punch during a game. And we could actually show the video if you want to see it, Steve.
One more time.
Since, somebody might have missed it. I don't know how.
Juwan Howard not.
But you can see they're shaking hands, and then Juwan Howard wants to be a bitch and not shake his hand. So these are supposed to be adults, Steve. That doesn't look very adult.
Oh, these are conversations between coaches that are better held back in the hallways, back to the locker rooms. Have it privately or something along those lines. Hey, can I meet you for a second back in the catacombs? And I got something I want to run by you,
or maybe just call them the next day.
Call them the next day, yeah.
And this is the thing that really bothers me.
This thing is flawed from the start.
You got guys pulling Howard back, and Howard still acted like he's going to be a gangster and go whip somebody's ass. I mean, this is sad. I mean, this is a guy who uses the excuse that he's from the South Side. I mean, come on, you haven't been from the South Side in decades. Now you're a millionaire. You're the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, a Division I college basketball team. And I'll tell you, Steve, I hate Wisconsin as much as anybody. I think Greg Gard's a little weasel also. And the way the team plays is absolutely disgusting and irritating. But they beat your ass. So just shake his hand and continue on. If you'll remember it. Maybe you get a shot in the Big Ten chair or Big Ten tournament. Or maybe you can do it next year. But to me, I coached for 30 years, and there's been a lot of times where I just wanted to smack another coach or a referee, but I don't, because it's stupid. It accomplishes nothing. What is accomplished today is Juwan Howard in the Michigan Wolverines basketball program is under scrutiny. Wisconsin is a little bit, but that's mainly from the people that are trying to defend Juwan Howard. There's no defense for this, Steve.
Not in my book. I mean, it's just very, very unexplainable behavior by a coach post game, and what is supposed to be the sportsmanship line that you ceremoniously do. I can't tell you the number of times I played where I wanted no part of going down and shaking Purdue's hand after the game. I mean, give me a week and let's sit down and have a beer and yuck about it. But right after the game, so the sportsmanship line to begin with is kind of like, okay, let's go do this. But you do it and you walk by, you make the effort, and there are a couple kids you say hi to and whatever, but for a coach like that to pull out and to cause a ruckus like that, but it's just really uncalled for. We'll get into the meat of what we think should happen or what needs to happen. Mike, can you explain as to what led to this confrontation?
Well, it was a 77-63 game. After a made basket, Michigan
14 points.
Yeah, Michigan pressed the Wisconsin offense.
Okay, let me interject. Michigan, Juwan Howard in his defense says they were not pressing. It just was their standard full court man-to-man defense.
Okay.
Now, my wife, who's not exactly a connoisseur of fine basketball officiating, says, well, isn't if they're guarding you across the half court line, isn't that pressing?
Yeah, and the problem is this. They forced the Badgers to inbound the basketball a second time with 15 seconds left before the inbound. Wisconsin head coach Greg Gard called a 30-second timeout. Gard explained that the timeout gave him a new 10 seconds to get the ball across because if not, they'd only had a couple seconds to get across. And upon returning from the timeout, the Wolverines then fouled a Wisconsin player, which delayed the game even more. And I know the CBS broadcasting crew of the game, I think it was Andrew Catalone and Steve Lapis, pointed out that Howard may not have been happy about Guard's timeout, so the foul may have been in retaliation. And as the clock ran out, Juwan Howard went back to the Michigan handshake, or went to the back of Michigan's handshake line instead of leading the way way he usually does. And then this happened. Howard comes up upon Gard and pulls his mask down and says, "I'll remember this." Now, then you have Gard put his hands on Howard because I think he wanted to have a discussion about exactly what Howard meant by "I'll remember this." The way I look at this is this, Steve. I've had my ass kicked before. I've had people run the score up on me because I don't want to look like basically a bitch who's sour because he got his ass kicked. I mean, that's the thing to me. I'm always going to shake their hand. And I know Kent Sterling, I just read an article from him where he said that they should get rid of the handshake lines. So, I mean, this is the dumbing down of society. People can't handle something, so let's just get rid of it so they don't have to be uncomfortable. You got your ass kicked, shake the other person's hand and move on.
Yeah, I was reading Joe's comments.
Yeah, NASCAR Joe said at the end of the day, a coach can't act like that. And Joe's been around me. I always want to punch everybody when I coach a game, but I never do.
Yeah, well, that's where my frustration.
I wanted to punch Joe a bunch of times.
My frustration started. I ended up seeing it by accident because I was watching the early part of the PGA Tour event, which was out here at Riviera Country Club here in beautiful Los Angeles. So I wasn't even watching the Michigan game, but I turned over at the time frame to get the start of the NASCAR festivities. And here I'm going into overtime now, not overtime, but delayed over this call. So that's how I ended up happened to see the entire event occur. Yeah, I think first off, Kent's wrong. You're right. We can't keep dummying down society and take things away. It's kind of, God, here we go. It's kind of like guns. We're just going to take guns away from everybody because some people are just too stupid to own them.
Or do you take cars away from people because some of them are too stupid to drive?
Drive them, right. You can't take the handshake line away, Kent. I'm sorry. I mean, that's been a part of the game. And I tell you, I have a lot of friends that when I played that were on other teams and enjoyed, you don't get to talk to them much during a game. Anyway, we'll get on things. That incident should have been something that was discussed either on a phone call the next day or behind closed doors back in the hallways of Chrysler. Well, I'm not allowed to call it Chrysler Arena anymore. I got yelled at for that.
It doesn't matter. We're Michigan Place. We'll just call it that.
Yeah, we're Michigan Place. Chrysler something. And it's not even spelled like the car company. Anyway, it should have happened back in the catacombs there. Should not have been on full display. Juwan should have shown a lot more restraint. And, my attitude is, hey, with 11 seconds to go, if you'll let me, I'll just walk the ball across half court line, dribble the ball out. I'm not even going to make an attempt to get near the bucket. Run the clock out, shake hands, go on, and go put it on your billboard how we beat you by 14. Use it against us the next game. But we were not trying to run the score up. You were pressing us. We needed 10 seconds to get the ball across the court. If you're going to press us, we use the timeout just to get our 10 seconds back and be on with it, and move on. And that's what should have happened. But by any accounts, you should never have gotten that. And my understanding is, Mike, and elaborate on this if you can, this is not the first time Juwan's pulled this stunt.
No, you had, was it Mark Turgeon, the coach of Maryland, during the Big Ten tournament last year, where Juwan Howard loses his shit again. This time he's mad at officials and he runs down the court and he goes onto the Maryland side where the Maryland coaching box is. And Turgeon asked him to get out of his box and get on his own side of the court. And then, Howard turns around and tells him he's going to fucking kill him. And that's what he said. And this is all caused by the Big Ten and their lack of doing anything about anything.
Well, now lies the root of the evil of this whole mess. And the problem is that, you talked to, my wife about this when we were talking about it. I said, the thing is, they put in the all the rules about intentional fouls and flagrant fouls, and those decisions are made right on the court. They're made right there. It's a flagrant one or flagrant two. Flagrant two, you're out of the game. You're ejected. If you get two flagrant twos, you're gone. The thing that needs to happen today is Michigan. It should go in this pecking order. Michigan should deal with it today. That's not too hard. Everybody's researched.
And if they don't deal with it well enough, the NCAA or the Big Ten
then the Big Ten. Yeah. Then the Big Ten should step in, and then the NCAA, who promotes education and sportsmanship.
Sure they do.
Sure they do. As long as it puts another buck in their pocket, they'll promote it. But right now, this is a big deal for the NCAA because guess who's paying attention to Michigan and college basketball right now over there? Everybody now because of this. So they're like, cha-ching. They're happy with it. But it needs to be Michigan needs to deal with this today. Even if you just come out and say, you know what, we're gonna suspend him with pay until we can complete the investigation. No practice with the team, no traveling.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, Steve, everybody already saw what happened.
Right, but there could be words that were said that we didn't hear.
I don't care what words are said. You can't punch another person. Especially when you're the leader.
In his defense, he kind of more, what I would use the term, bitch slapped him than he did.
Well, it's because he's a basketball player. Hell, you remember the NBA fights even back in the day. Nobody could fight. They all swing like women.
Tom Janovich and Kermit Washington about that.
But that was a sucker punch. Same thing. And that is the issue here. You could have had a Kermit Washington, Rudy Tomjanovich incident here where one of the Michigan or Wisconsin players cracks somebody, they fall, hit their head, and somebody's dead. I mean, this is more serious than what a lot of people, because I wrote the article last night, and I would say it's probably 60-40 people defending Juwan Howard. It's absolutely sickening, but it's also the dumbing down of our society. The lowest common denominator seems to always prevail nowadays.
Yeah, and I tell you, I agree with you. We're getting in that direction. I think the greatest restraint probably was shown by the players.
The Michigan players were throwing punches.
Were they throwing punches? I didn't see. Yeah. I saw a lot of jerseys being grabbed, but that was just kind of whoa everybody down and grab your jersey and hold on. Don't go after anybody else. I saw more of that. I did not see any punches being swung. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just didn't.
Here, let's go ahead here. Let's get to the right spot. It will show. Can you see the video right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it full screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So, when you watch this, watch the white coach that got slapped. You'll see Michigan players start to swing right there.
Yeah.
See, I mean, right in the middle, I think it's number 14, right behind. You can see him throwing punches. I mean, that's the issue with this, because when the coach, all right, and
Sure.
It seems like the players really like the coach. If the players really like the coach, when the coach, starts to throw punches, those kids are going to start to throw punches because they're going to have their coach's back, because they probably always talk about having each other's back. I mean, I do with my players. We have each other's back. If something goes down, we defend each other. Something like this could turn into something like the Malice at the Palace that you had at one point. I mean, there's a lot of bad things that could happen here. And I just find it sad that Juwan Howard basically acted like this because he got embarrassed. He got his ass kicked by Wisconsin, and he could not handle it. And that's the problem with this. And when you talk about the handshake line is all bullshit. You go tell people, good game, good luck next week. You don't mean it. No, especially if you lost. You're pissed off. But the thing it does show your kids, when you're the head coach, no matter what's happened with a team has played, is put your helmet on, shake their hands. If anybody says a word, you will no longer be on my team. And you can ask anybody. That is seriously how my team is run. So my guys will not say a word. We won't even say good game. We shake their hands, we walk through, and we're done. Because I want them to know that you're supposed to respect the game. You don't respect the game when you do stuff like this. The only thing you do is give it a black eye.
I agree. Yeah, I wish we had somebody on, or that would comment on the
I
opposite
asked
side
4
of
or
this.
5, but none of them wanted to come on, which is
Yeah,
usually how it works when somebody knows they can't win an argument.
because I know you wrote a pretty poignant article on it last night, and I read it, and I thought, uh-oh.
Well, I mean,
And you said we had quite a bit of reviews and reads on it, and
oh yeah, it had
the
like
majority of the
90,000
people were
reads
favoring
overnight.
Juwan Howard. That's what you said,
Yeah, more of
which
them
is
favored
amazing
Juwan
to me.
Howard. Yeah, because they're like, will another man put his hands on you? What the hell? And then I had somebody send me a message. Well, if somebody said something mean about your kids or your wife, are you just going to let it go or are you going to punch them in the face? I'm going to let it go. I don't care what you say. What you say and what you think about me, my wife, or my kids has no bearing on me. I don't give a shit. I know who I am. And if I get fired up because you say something to me, I'm not much of a man. My dad told me once I turned 18, because I did like to get a scrap or two here or there when I was younger. But he told me after you turn 18, you're a grown man. Unless you actually feel like your safety or somebody you love is threatened by another person, you don't throw a punch. That's what kids do. That's what people that can't control themselves do.
All right, so at the first, Howard attacked the head coach first, or he verbally said
Well,
something to him.
they talked crap to each other. We don't know what the Wisconsin assistant coach said. We
Well,
don't know what was said.
because he doesn't come in until later into this. This thing's already escalated by the time he
Yeah,
comes
it
in.
was escalated because of Jawan Howard, and the thing
All
that
right,
drives me
so
nuts is
we're
people
making
keep
the
blaming it on
assumption here.
Gard.
And this is why I say we have to give Michigan today to sort these things out. Now, if we're aware of these things, Michigan's got to have a lot more audio and videotape than even we do to get to the root of this thing as fast as they can. Um, it to me, it's if the head coach went up and just put his arms on him, grabbed him, and said, "Hey, Juwan," and then Juwan starts mouthing over. Juwan mouthed off, and then he put his arms on him. You can get into the touching thing, and he grabbed me. I didn't know what he was going to do.
He didn't grab him; he touched him.
Okay, well, what it seems to me, he grabbed his arms, or he put his hands
Yeah,
in Juwan's arms, but then that those two separated and went on their way.
and that should have been the end of it.
Should have
But
been the end of it.
then
Then the
Howard
assistant
throws a
coach
punch.
comes down and apparently gets into Juwan's face, which if you've just gotten your tail handed to you, and you're probably under a little bit of fire anyway at Michigan because you're not producing.
Yeah, you're 14-11 with a team that started out the year
It's
ranked in
not
the
going
top
to
10.
dance. It's probably most likely going to be sitting with some other Big Ten teams we know, watching the dance. If they don't change your song and dance real quick. Uh, but so, but to turn around and to do what Juwan did in terms of just making an out attempt to physically hit another coach, that draws the line. That stops everything from being semi-civil or civil at that point in time. And like I said, I think that everybody jumped in and tried to de-escalate it as quickly as they could. Maybe some Michigan players were getting out of line. Maybe some Wisconsin players
There were on both sides.
on
There
both
were, but that's
sides.
what happens when you see your
But
coach.
that's what a
get
coach.
hit.
That's what when a coach takes those kinds of actions. That's the results.
Well,
If
put it
you
like
see your
this:
coach in
what?
stress,
Yeah.
the natural thing would be. I mean, I can tell you we've done the same thing if Knight got into it like that.
Well,
We would have
and what
circled the
would have
wagons.
happened if one of your assistant coaches would have got smacked in the face?
Well, it depends on who it was. We probably just would let him get the hell crack.
What if it was Joby? Everybody liked Joby.
Everybody liked Joby. Yeah, he was one that they would have definitely gone to support. Some
All
other
right.
ones, not so sure.
All right, real quick. Betting.net finds the best promotions, offers, and bonus codes so you don't have to. Head over to their website now to take advantage of things like free bets and matching deposits. We had a comment from Wallace. Was it Wallace? Wallace Shell. That just happens in sports. Should Howard be fired? No, if they hit him. But if he throws the first punch, yeah, he should be fired. But that's just sports. I agree. You throw the first punch. I mean,
I'm gonna shy away from termination. I think
he should be fired. There's nothing else.
I don't think he should be fired. I don't
be.
think that this is a.
Why would you want to risk this happening again? I mean, what if it happens
can tell
again
you
and
right
somebody
now,
gets hurt?
I'm 99% sure this will not result in a termination for Juwan Howard.
Well, no, but we all know why that is. I would say this. If he's allowed to continue to coach, sometime in the next few years, this will happen again. He can't
Mike,
control
possibly
himself.
he learned a lesson from this and
He didn't
realized.
last year.
Huh?
He didn't the first time this happened.
Yeah, it does seem he has a little bit of a loose wire if he's going to get bent out of shape when he's
how about this, though,
he's
Steve?
pressing another team with less than 15, 20 seconds to go in the game. You're down by 14 points. Just let the clock run out and get the game over. And this is a number of times when I wish a referee had the right to call a mercy rule. Just say, that's it. We're not even going to play the last 10 seconds.
So that's dumbing down society even more.
Yeah, I know.
We have to end the game early.
You got to be accountable and responsible to handle the situation you're in, especially a coach who's probably making near $1 million a year to coach that basketball team.
He's making well over $1 million.
Okay, and not all from the university, but other shoe endorsements and other camps, things that Juwan's running. I'm sure.
Well,
it's a gross.
When you talk about firing him or not, to me the biggest thing about
I wouldn't fire him over this.
The thing is, you can't have a head coach that can't lead. He can't lead. He does not have the character to lead.
You can't have a head coach you can't coach.
Well, and he can't.
Yeah, and that may be the bigger story.
Because I'm sorry. When I watch this team, I don't think they're necessarily a great coach team. With John Beilein, I thought they were very well coached. And Juwan Howard, to me, you can't be a great coach and do stuff like this. It's poor leadership. You cannot lead.
It does not set the example that the NCAA once alleges campaigns and promotes that they want their universities and athletes to set.
Oh, the NCAA doesn't care.
Well, but
they play
so,
lip
Mike,
service to
in
it.
your eyes, okay, let's say we've dissected what happened for the most part. We don't know the exact verbiage, if any names were dropped or anything was said to anybody that was something that would rile somebody up. I don't know that. None of us know that. We don't know if they have audio tape of anything. I do know that, we did hear that in a post-game press conference, Juwan tried to defend himself by saying he was not pressing. He just was playing full court man-to-man. Well, to me, that's a press.
That's a press.
I don't know what else you call it. If you're guarding me,
and if you want the other team to stop playing,
and you're trapping me in the corner and causing me, call a timeout, you're still trying to play the game. If you're going to play the game, you're forcing me to play the game.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I still did not throw a bomb over your head and try and take it to the hole and get a game-ending dunk on you. All we wanted to do was run the clock out.
Well, no, instead, Michigan fouled them, so Wisconsin could score some points.
They score some more points. So they brought that thing on themselves. What do you think? I mean, how should this progress from here?
I think he should have been fired last night. If I'm the AD there, the coach throws a punch and he was unprovoked. I'm sorry, words cannot provoke me. You can say whatever you want to me. I'm walking away. It's the way I was raised. It's the way I teach my team.
But names will never harm you.
It's the way I've coached my teams the last 4 or 5 years. Just walk away, because the greatest thing is to beat the team that you hate, not to do something that, I mean, this is the thing. He's going to get suspended at least. They're 14-11. They're on the bubble. They've been hot. They had one bad performance against Wisconsin. But now, if he gets suspended and maybe those players that threw the punch get suspended, maybe the reason you missed the NCAA tournament now is because you couldn't be man enough to take your ass whipping.
Okay, so you think he should be terminated today?
Yeah, I think he should have been last night.
I don't think that at all.
So what should get you terminated? Just losing games? Is there anything you could do then? Because you've just set the precedent that you won't get fired. And every coach will see this. That if you throw a punch,
I don't think he'll get terminated today. I think that there would be an all-out investigation into it. Depositions that have to be taken by players, by coaches. There's no way, Mike, given this current circumstance and environment that we live in this country right now, that they would terminate Juwan Howard today.
Steve, I guarantee you, throwing a punch is in that contract. Where
Yeah,
it's,
I have a
probably
trouble
more
calling it
contract
throwing a punch.
detrimental to the team.
I have a trouble.
What the hell do you call it then when you smack another man in the face?
It's like I said, I call it more of a bitch slap.
A bitch slap, which is getting hit in the face.
Getting hit in the face, yeah. But,
he got hit in the face.
I agree.
I mean, we could watch it again.
No, I
I'm pretty
agree.
sure it's a punch. I mean, he threw a punch. He just doesn't know how to throw a punch. See, right there. He just doesn't know how to throw a punch. That looked like one of those old NBA fights with like Bill Laimbeer and Charles Barkley where they bitch slap each other.
I think the Michigan AD is reviewing it with his board of advisors right now. They're going to have to take some kind of immediate action.
Dude, they're going to suspend him for the rest of the season and let him keep his job.
Well, it says a bitch slap is even worse.
Yeah, it is, because you got bitch slapped.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And the bad thing is this. He bitch slapped a dude that had like 5 people in between him, so you don't have to fight the guy either. So that was basically a hit and run.
Okay. I'm just trying to find some middle ground here, but you're making it legitimately difficult to do. I just don't think they'll work with the speed that they need to. I think they'll drag this out long enough that they'll let all of the hype die down on it, and they'll render a 1-game suspension or something along those lines. And he may have to do some anger management or something along those lines at some
I
point.
think since it's the second case, I think they will suspend him for the rest of the regular season. I don't think
so. Oh, no way.
They will.
They're not going to suspend him for the rest of the year.
How can you allow another coach?
If you suspend him for the rest of the year, then you might as well terminate him.
And that's what should happen. But they won't, because they want to keep him getting paid. And you know what? This is going to be good TV next year when Michigan plays Wisconsin. Those ratings will be through the roof.
It'll be good TV if they play in the Big Ten tournament together.
Yeah. I mean, anytime Michigan plays now, it's big-time TV. It's just like Bobby Knight. I mean, everybody wanted to see what Coach Knight would do.
Was going to do, yeah. I'll watch the game just to see what Knight's going to do. I don't care who wins the game.
Yeah, so right now, Juwan Howard and Michigan, this may make it easier for them to make the tournament.
Well,
they'll be set up in a bracket where if they win, they'll play Wisconsin in the second round.
Let's get him and Mike Krzyzewski together. Didn't Krzyzewski go after a player who undercut one of his players earlier in the year here?
Wallace asked us to come back on when the results come in. We will.
We will, definitely.
I think this. I think there's a lot of coaches that are out of control to get away with it. I mean, we talked about Tom Izzo. I mean, hell, it seems like Tom Izzo every game's grabbing a player.
I don't know. I played for Knight, so the verbal stuff, as a
we're not talking verbal stuff with Izzo. I mean,
know,
he has
but I'm
grabbed
saying,
the players.
I never saw Knight pull anything like this.
No, he never punched another coach during a game.
In my time there, he never punched another player.
And I would bring up the fact that when he grabbed Neil Reed by the neck, he was fired.
Yeah, immediately. He was.
It wasn't immediately because they found the film later on, but as soon as they found the film, within a couple days, he was fired.
Yeah, so he was relieved of his duties as a coach.
Yeah, so it's not a black thing or a white thing. It's just he threw a punch in a game. Woody Hayes hit a player, Charlie Bauman, in 1978 Gator Bowl. He was fired immediately. You really don't have to look into stuff when it's sitting right there in front of you and you can watch the video. It's kind of like Ray Rice. He'd have been back in the NFL, but there was a video. It's hard to dispute the video, and once you see what somebody's done, it's a lot different than just being told about
it. Wallace says both of you are right, but fights are out unless you're defending yourself.
Exactly. If the Wisconsin coach would have thrown a punch back at Juwan Howard, I would think he shouldn't lose his job. He got attacked. You're allowed to attack back, but you're not allowed to start it. And the guy that started is the one that should get in trouble.
The instigator should be the root cause. No doubt.
In this
case, there's no question Juwan Howard was the root cause.
And Juwan Howard played for the Fab Five. He played the NBA. If that assistant coach said something mean to him, I'm sure he's heard worse before in an NBA game or a game with the Fab Five. So this is something where he was looking for an excuse. He was pissed because his team's 14-11. People are starting to question if he's the right guy for the job or not, because now he's coaching with entirely his guys. And I mean, it was uncalled for. There was no reason to do it, but he'll get away with it.
Yeah,
won't fire
I
him.
believe in due process, so I'm going to go on a little slower time frame than you. I don't think it's inappropriate to the Michigan athletic director come out and say we're going to suspend him with pay. He's on administrative leave
I would love to be suspended with
for
pay.
this week or a period of time.
Suspended with pay means you don't have to work anymore and they still pay you. Hell,
Well,
that's sweet. So
but
you're going to reward him.
that's the way life is these days. Most
It's
people get
really
suspended.
not. It's only
with
that
pay.
way because people choose to make it that way. I mean,
Right.
when you have
Well,
somebody that violates
I'm
the
not going to
norms
take
of
on the
society,
problems of the world right now. I'm going to stick to
that's the
the.
difference between us, Steve. I'm more than willing to.
Yeah, I'm not on this show. Not when we tried to. So we're going to try and limit to 30 minutes, and I got another topic to address real quick after
Well, what's your
this.
topic? Let's go to it.
Well, no. So in conclusion, we're in agreement. Some action needs to be taken today.
No, we're not in agreement because I think he should have been fired last night. But
Okay.
we'll let you sit and watch your action. But,
All right, and I think that there should be a suspension pending an investigation by Michigan. Michigan, then they should present their case to the NCAA or to the Big Ten for validation. Big Ten.
well, I think what they should do is maybe take Greg Gard and Juwan Howard, sit them down, and have them in a
You're
press
being
conference.
facetious now, Mike.
No, have them sit down, and while we watch the video, they both explain exactly what happened and why their actions were warranted.
Kind of like you and I when we get in fights all the time, and we have to
never
tell
get in
people, "Hey, we're
fights.
just joking. We know each other well."
Let's see. Howard been a hothead his whole sports life, but people like that bad boy thing. Yeah, they do.
They do.
I mean, that sells. That's how the Kardashians made all that money with no.
Well, and
talent
I
at
think
all.
I don't know that it's ever going to be deemed appropriate, but it's less inappropriate for a player to be that way than a coach.
Yeah, because a
coach
player
should never act that way.
Yeah, because a player, you're in the heat of the moment. A coach,
yeah.
the only way you can be a great coach, and maybe this is Juwan Howard's issue, the only way to be a great coach is to be able to keep your head even when things go south. If you lose your cool like a player, your team's going to lose. And also, if it would have been a 19-year-old kid that took a swing, then I could sit here and say, we'll give him a... This is a grown-ass man that played the NBA, coached in the NBA. Now he's a head coach of a Division I basketball
I'm looking
program.
at things in the year 2022. I'm not looking at him in 1981.
I'm not either. Not on that case because...
Trust me, Mike, there are enough times in my 4 years playing, I irritated players enough on the court that when I went to the handshake line, I was very aware and astute as to who was around me.
Yeah, which one might drop you when you're not paying attention.
Exactly. Which might take a swing at me, deservedly so.
You might get bitch slapped too.
I would get more than bitch slapped, trust me. But there was more times where there were guys, man, I don't know if he's going to even want to get near me. I'd put my hand out and he'd,
That's where you put your hand out, but you don't look at him.
You got your fist clenched at the very last second.
This hand's out, this is clenched, and you're not making eye contact because you know you deserve to get smacked in the head.
I think the thing here is some action needs to be taken immediately toward Juwan for instigating the entire event. I don't know if any action needs to be taken against the assistant coach. Probably some will. I think they'll probably suspend him a game too for putting his hands on Juwan and whatever.
Yeah, but he didn't put his hands on Juwan.
So technically that is what, battery?
He didn't put his hands on Juwan.
Okay, but if they touched it all...
There was players in between. He said
literally
something.
Battery.
And I'm sorry, but somebody touching you is not battery. I know a lot of people say it is nowadays because people like to get litigious and sue everybody.
The UCLA player got arrested in Arizona for spitting toward a guy who threw a Coke on him.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. The most disgusting thing somebody can do is spit on another person. If somebody spits on you, you have every right to just bash your damn head in. Now, what's your other topic, Steve? A good segue.
All right, my other topic is sitting there yesterday and...
Am I going to have to talk about the Daytona 500?
No. Okay. I'm not going to. No, Joe and I are going to get to the Daytona 500 this week as soon as we can map out a schedule and review the race. My other topic here quickly, we may need to just address this briefly and then save it for another entire show. I don't understand the necessity, rationale, mentality anymore of professional sports all-star games. Be it the NFL Pro Bowl or yesterday's NBA all-star game. these things are just, they're just circuses is what they are. You know, we watch the Pro Bowl. People pay good money to go to Vegas. They're already losing their ass anyway, most likely in Vegas. And they go and you watch these guys. They play touch football. They don't even tackle in the Pro Bowl game, and justifiably so. You don't want to tear up your quarterback or your line or your all-star player in a Pro Bowl game that has no relevance or meaning anyway. Then you come to the All-Star game, and it's just a clown around shoot fest, 163 to 160, and it's not basketball. It's not the. I remember the All-Star game back in the 70s when the Busher and Reed and Kuzi and Havlicek and Russell and Chamberlain were playing. West. Those guys went at the All-Star game. I mean, they wanted to win the game. Yeah. They played the game to win the game. I mean, if the score was generally lower than a regular NBA game. And now you've got these clown around commercials that are just corporate made for TV weekends and made for corporate sponsors weekends. And so I don't know if that's something we want to take on next.
I think
provide in advance.
I think all
I think that there's more better ways to spend your time. Name your Pro Bowlers, name your All-Stars, and then you know what? Have a contest where the East versus the West of building a house for Habitat for Humanity side by side. You know, put two lots side by side and have the West team building a house and the East team building a house. With help from people that do this all the time.
No, it'd be better with no help. I just want to see LeBron
I wouldn't
James
want to live
build a house.
I don't think I'd want to live in that house.
Yeah, but I want to see LeBron James try to
but anyway, you know, there's more appropriate ways to showcase your players than there is these silly games that are just asinine to even. Yeah, I mean, I won't even
play it serious. Really. The NBA died out, I think, in the 90s of the All-Star game.
But Bird and Magic quit playing.
You could still play a Major League Baseball All-Star game that looks like an actual baseball game because there's.
But it has meaning. Crap. I mean, doesn't that adjust to the?
No meaning.
I thought it used to be the team that won got the home field in the World Series.
Well, it was naturally, but that's stupid too. I mean, why should the Red Sox, who win 115 games, have to go to San Diego to play the Padres, who barely made the playoffs and got hot? I mean, so it's stupid.
But it put value on the All-Star game. It made the teams want to win.
And I don't think it did, because if I'm playing for the last place Marlins, why do I care who gets home field advantage in the World Series?
Okay.
If I'm in contention, maybe it does. But in the end, if I'm on a team in last place and I'm mathematically eliminated around the All-Star break, why the hell do I care?
I said this about the Pro Bowl, and they used to kind of do this. And for those of you that are old, remember there was a TV show on by Worldwide World of Sports called Superstars. Yeah. And it was where celebrities and athletes would get together and they would do like rowing, bicycling, you know, short distance track races. Tug of war was always the last event. The big tug of war was always there, and that was the finale of each show. Yeah, I'd rather see the Pro Bowlers get there and do like a Superstars event. Something that's not injury threatening nearly as bad. And yet you still get the competition. And
well, how about this? Why don't you just take the four major sports, have an all-star team for the NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, just have 4 teams.
And I think you got to keep it separately. I think because they all happen during parts of the season.
Yeah, but see, I'm not going to care about watching either.
Hockey's playing right now. They couldn't be involved in an all-star game with the NBA.
They just had an all-star game. No, you do it in the off-season. I mean, and
there is no off-season where.
Yeah, there is, because baseball's not even playing this year so far. Because hopefully it'll go on strike because I'm tired of baseball anyways. So I think the game should.
Do you have an opinion, a serious opinion on that?
They should get rid of them. I don't see a reason for it.
Well,
and right now you pay.
They're not going to get rid of them because they're money makers, like for each league, big time. I mean, in Las Vegas, their stadium was sold out for the Pro Bowl game.
Well, you know, all it takes is LeBron James to break his leg in an All-Star game, and maybe they'll get rid of him.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
So, yeah, we can only hope. I'm just kidding.
Right.
All right. Real quick, I want to bring up, it's not just sports betting. Betting.net compares the best online casinos. Sit back, relax, and play the top online slots, poker, table games. Betting.net. All right, we are losing our stream, Steve. We're having technical difficulties, so we're going to wrap it up. I'm listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.